Welcome back to SuperString. Today I will show you a parody film from 2021 named Queenpins. Spoilers ahead. Look out and fare thee well. In Phoenix, Arizona, rural housewife Connie is captured around midnight at her own home. As she surrenders easily, she recalls how this got everything rolling months prior. Connie is a previous 3-time gold award-winning Olympic racewalker, however this isn't the sort of thing that makes you rich or well-known. These days she lives with her better half Rick, an IRS examiner she has an extremely tense relationship with. Since they weren't fit for having youngsters, they burned through huge load of cash on medicines, yet tragically, when Connie at long last got pregnant, she lost the child. That is when Rick chose to take a voyaging position at work so he can be away for 3 weeks consistently. At the point when he's home, he doesn't treat Connie well, continually advising her that she's jobless, that they lost cash since she needed to do numerous medicines when he was prepared to surrender after the first, and chastens her for burning through an excess of cash on her fixation on coupons. That piece about a fixation is genuine. Connie accumulates coupons and afterward purchases things in huge amounts, taking care of everything in the nursery to cover the dividers and disregard her misfortune. The great sight of Rick not being around, so a lot is Connie having the opportunity to become a close acquaintance with her neighbor Jojo, who has a YouTube channel about saving tips and is coupon fixated as well. She lives with her mom Josie and is experiencing difficulty finding work since her character got taken in the relatively recent past. In her available energy, she plays with the postal worker Earl and offers makeup house to house, which isn't going very well by the same token. Whenever Connie goes to the general store, she gives clerk Greg many coupons for her buy. It keeps down the line for some time, yet it likewise implies her last ticket goes from more than $100 to 16. Connie generally prefers to say that assuming you watch the pennies, the dollars will deal with themselves. One evening, while at the same time taking care of some food on the racks, she blows up when she sees the child backdrop among the containers, so she chooses to eat a lot of oat, as though it could recuperate her downturn. The grain ends up being flat, so Connie utilizes all her ongoing inward resentment to send a griping email to the oat organization. A couple of days after the fact, Connie gets a coupon with the expectation of complimentary oat via the post office with a letter from the organization saying sorry for the old item. Whenever she goes to the market to trade it with a conceited mentality, Greg makes sense if she isn't extraordinary, all organizations will send free coupons to individuals that whine. This moves Connie to send a lot of letters to various makers regardless of whether there wasn't a thing amiss with the items, which procures her a tremendous heap of coupons with the expectation of complimentary stuff. Connie shows them to Jojo, who is stunned to see such a procedure, and even attempts to purchase a coupon from Connie in light of the fact that it would in any case be less expensive than the real cost. Her deal causes Connie to acknowledge selling stuff she got for nothing would give her 100% benefit, and it would make for an extraordinary business. Subsequent to looking through the web, she finds that the coupons are made in Mexico, not a long way from where she resides, so they could proceed to take a bundle to exchange. Jojo has doubts from the get-go, yet since she's suffocating in the red, she acknowledges to help. In the interim in Nevada, misfortune avoidance official Ken is going about his business at a neighborhood market. Whenever a clerk experiences difficulty with a coupon, he looks at it and rapidly understands it's phony. The chief inquires as to whether they can respect it in any case on the grounds that the old woman has been their client for a really long time, yet Ken declines since rules will be rules. Ken's habits are unquestionably poor, acquiring him a few put-downs from the old woman. A comparative circumstance happens some other time. When he gets on a plane to get back, a mother inquires as to whether he could, if it's not too much trouble, switch seats with her girl so she can watch the arrival to help her quiet down. However, Ken declines like a cunt, saying it's a significant illustration for the youngster to learn. At the point when he at long last shows up at his forlorn condo in Utah, Ken hollers at the television in disappointment. The following day in Mexico, Connie and Jojo come to the coupon plant and watch the workers end their days of work. They choose to move toward Alejandro and Rosa, a couple that is now disrupting the guidelines, however doesn't look excessively risky. The team follows the couple with the vehicle, and they believe they're going to get looted, however after Connie and Jojo explain they're there for help, they are wanted at Alejandro's home to have a little visit. It turns out Rosa is pregnant, and their compensations are a joke, so it's simple for Connie and Jojo to approach with their proposition, assuming several takes coupons for them. They will exchange them later in the USA and offer piece of the benefits. Alejandro doesn't know it's really smart, yet Rosa persuades him to do this for their child. It is for the most part straightforward. The industrial facility is isolated into printing, where Alejandro works, and recovery, where Rosa attempts to make an arrangement. Each site as a rule doesn't have the foggiest idea what different does. With each coupon they print there's dependably an additional that should get obliterated, however Alejandro can send those additional items to Connie and Jojo when their trucks do their appropriations around the USA. Everything is good to go at the line since they'll see a container with coupons rather than criminal behavior. A couple of days after the fact, the pair gets their most memorable box with coupons, so they make a basic site to sell them and advance it on Connie's channel. Their business rapidly turns into a triumph, bringing in them lots of cash, however the stores before long beginning seeing as well. Ken gets dozens of letters and calls from directors whining pretty much all the cash they're losing, so he starts an exhaustive examination until he can find a MasterCard number behind one of the many buys made with these coupons. Following 11 days of work, Ken goes to see the housewife that pre-owned this coupon and finds out about the site that sells them, advanced by an individual of color on YouTube. Whenever Ken gets back to the workplace and opens the site, he tracks down the saying assuming you watch the pennies, the dollars will deal with themselves. Back to the couple, they're upset to find their PayPal account has been frozen on the grounds that it's gotten a lot of cash excessively fast. To thaw it, they need to demonstrate they're maintaining a genuine business. They don't have the foggiest idea how to do this appropriately, so in their urgency, they choose to contact Tina, who is a well-known programmer on the dim web. Tina chides them for advancing this so unreservedly on the grounds that it very well may be totally followed back to them, so subsequent to erasing Jojo's recordings, she makes sense of they need a front for their business so they can clean their cash. They'll get a lot of phony IDs, financial balances, and a reserve house to work in. Additionally, they should stand by a half year prior to spending their cash, so every association they've laid out to their genuine names have opportunity and energy to vanish. In the wake of concurring, Tina will get 10% for her assistance. She gives them an exceptional scrambled USB stick for them to keep their significant documents in. On account of Tina's fast reasoning, there are no signs passed on the web for Ken to follow. He goes to the FBI and gets told they'll investigate it, however, they view an issue with coupons as funny, so they toss the case to their most reduced work area specialist Albert. Since he has nothing better to do, Albert acknowledges the case. Utilizing Jojo's beauty care products brand as a cover and Tina's phony IDs, the coupon trick starts developing into an entirely beneficial business again, while Ken leaves messages for the FBI consistently. A half year after the fact, the pair is prepared to spend their cash, however they recall Tina said it's messy, so they need to clean it first. Recalling an account of Rick's about a client of his, Connie concludes that they need to purchase heaps of costly stuff to be exchanged later, and the cash from those deals will be viewed as spotless. In the wake of persuading every one of the banks to give them the cash and real money, since it's to enlist individuals for their restorative business, Connie and Jojo go on an extraordinarily costly shopping trip. They purchase sports vehicles, boats, a confidential plane, and even firearms. Thereafter, they go on an outing to Las Vegas, where they examine their likely arrangements. Jojo will pay for her mom's home loan, and Connie needs to attempt the richness treatment once more. In the interim, Ken at long last gets the call from the FBI he's been sitting tight for. Albert illuminates him he can do nothing on the web on the grounds that a specialist has erased all treat trails, yet since the coupons are being sent through old standard mail, he'll send somebody that can really help. After 2 days, Ken meets Simon, a postal investigator. Simon acknowledges the case and requests that Ken request a few coupons from the site so they can look closely at the framework. At the point when the envelope shows up 2 or after 3 days, Simon rapidly sees the envelope expresses it's from Kansas, yet it really comes from Arizona because of the unique numbers on the internet-based stamp. He will be traveling to Phoenix soon and consents to take Ken with him, since he definitely knows every one of the grocery stores nearby. Back to Connie, she makes an arrangement at the richness facility and takes Jojo with her for help, since she hasn't informed Rick she's doing this. The specialist illuminates her this is her last shot, so Connie chooses to utilize a contributor's seed rather than her better half's. Later at night, Tina reaches them again to know where all the cash has proceeded to lash out when she hears their thinking since they overlooked the main issue. By utilizing Jojo's beauty care products brand, they had proactively cleaned the cash. Presently they should sell all that they purchased straight away and set it back in the bank in limited quantities each day. At the point when Rick returns from his most recent excursion for work, he sees the new television Connie has purchased, so she lets him know she's found a business line of work and that she doesn't utilize coupons any longer. This extraordinarily satisfies Rick, who considers her another spouse, which makes Connie even certain to go through the treatment with the givers. Meanwhile, Ken and Simon are questioning every one of the clerks nearby, requesting any clients with coupon fixations. At the point when they get to Greg, they find the data they need. He doesn't have the foggiest idea about Connie's name, however he gives them her portrayal and notices her 2 pennies aphorism, which Ken had seen on the site. The following day, they go to the neighborhood mail center to check whether any of the specialists has a lot of insight into a coupon blonde. No one recalls Connie, however when they hear the word coupons, they squeal on Earl since he forever was watching JoJo's saving tips on YouTube. Back to the team, selling all their stuff on eBay is turning out to be too hard in light of the fact that there's such a large amount it. At the point when they go to a bistro for a beverage they find 2 men from a firearm club, so they get their club's location and visit it later with every one of their weapons available to be purchased. JoJo makes an astonishing attempt to close the deal, yet the pioneer actually won't get them, so the couple consents to make them a decent rebate, assuming that they get them all, getting it done. Ken and Simon grill Earl in private, however he will not give them any data. Whenever he's delivered, he goes to JoJo's home and leaves her a note in an envelope camouflaged as customary mail among the bills which Josie takes without understanding how significant it is. What Earl cannot deny is that Ken and Simon have followed him there, and presently they'll do observation outside the house however long they need. Night has fallen when JoJo gets back home, and the men understand this is the individual of color the housewife had seen on that YouTube video when JoJo emerges from her vehicle and starts moving in her carport to praise the astonishing arrangement she made before. The following morning, JoJo is diverted by a contention with Josie and gives no consideration to the mail, so she drives to the reserve house to no one's surprise. Ken and Simon follow her there and consider Connie to be well, understanding she's the blonde from Greg's portrayal. Simon assembles other postal auditors to start the activity appropriately, and presently they have more subtleties. It's exceptionally simple for them to track down Connie's and JoJo's personalities, particularly when they show an image to Greg and he affirms it. Soon thereafter, JoJo can't rest, so in the wake of minding her mother, she goes to the kitchen to get a bite. That is the point at which she at long last finds Earl's note encouraging her to leave town, yet all the same it's past the point of no return. Simon shows up with his men and captures Connie, JoJo, and Josie. After their homes in the reserve house are assaulted, the capture shows up on the news, and Earl is astounded to see JoJo's face on television. Whenever the cross-examinations start, Rick and Josie rapidly say they didn't have anything to do with it and acknowledge to help out the specialists. JoJo attempts to play the guiltless card and imagines she doesn't have a clue, however they've tracked down her recordings on her PC. Connie, then again, concedes her wrongdoing, however she's stunned to hear that they might be confronting 40 years to life for misrepresentation. Assuming she assumes complete ownership for beginning every last bit of it, they'll go more straightforward on JoJo, so Connie acknowledges the arrangement. JoJo is delivered on bail. She thinks Josie paid it, however it was really Earl, who is hanging tight for her outside with blossoms. Unfortunately, Connie isn't as fortunate. Rick just visits her to chide her and will not pay the bail, so Connie requests a separation. The examination proceeds and the controllers follow the coupons back to Alejandro and Rosa, however when they find this, 2 or 3 has previously vanished. Since the path has gone chilly, the Mexican government won't pursue them. Connie recruits a somewhat costly legal advisor, and this ends up being the ideal choice. Upon the arrival of the preliminary, the attorney persuades everybody that Connie and JoJo just utilized a proviso the same way partnerships do constantly. His strategy is a triumph and JoJo gets 10 days in jail in addition to 1 year of probation, while Connie gets 11 months in prison with the chance of parole. Simon and Ken aren't content with this outcome and request replies from the state lawyer, who makes sense of the appointed authority backed off of the ladies in light of the fact that the brands on the coupons squeezed for mercy to stay away from terrible press. For such megacorporations, the $80 million this trick cost them is simply pocket change. Presently the case is finished. Simon should leave. Above all, he tells Ken he's a decent man and he's happy to have worked with him, however he likewise needs to dial down the disposition a bit. As days pass, everybody's lives change. Ken starts being somewhat more pleasant, making special cases for old clients with counterfeit coupons, lastly assembling the boldness to make a profile on a dating application. Connie gets the separation she needed, and the fruitfulness treatment ends up being a triumph, so she enjoys her months in jail with a major pregnant stomach. The specialists take the greater part of the trick's income, yet fortunately, they disregard the containers in the nursery believing it's simply food, so Jojo will save those crates, realizing Connie has been concealing money in them from the beginning. Subsequent to getting along with Earl, he and Jojo moved to Montenegro, a non-removal country, to begin another trick under another beauty care products brand, trusting that Connie will come over when she's at last liberated so they can cooperate once more.